The massive ship appeared suddenly in Earth's orbit, its hull reflecting the sun's light with an almost painful brilliance. On the bridge of the EDS Sentinel, Admiral Park Jae-yun watched the holographic display with narrowed eyes. "They're hailing us again," Lieutenant Kim Tae-ho reported, his fingers hovering over the communications array. Admiral Park nodded once. "Put them through." The alien that appeared on screen had gray-blue skin and 6 eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern. "I am High Commander Dole of the Galactic Dominion. Your species will submit to immediate integration or face pacification. You have 1 standard month to comply." "This is Admiral Park Jae-yun of Earth's United Defense Force. We request time to consult with our leadership." 1 month, the alien repeated before the transmission cut. In the emergency session that followed, Earth's unified government debated furiously. Defense Minister Lee Hun gathered the military leadership in a separate chamber. "We always knew this day might come," she said grimly. "It's time to activate Protocol Omega." The room fell silent. Protocol Omega was the contingency plan they had all hoped would never be needed. Admiral Park looked around at the faces of Earth's top military commanders. Some showed fear, others determination, but all understood what was at stake. "How long have we been preparing?" asked General Oh Jun-seo, head of the Global Infantry Corps. 23 years, Minister Lee replied. "Ever since our deep space telescopes detected their first communications." Admiral Park stood up. "The hidden shipyards are ready. We have 12 prototype warships in the asteroid belt, 8 more in Jupiter's shadow, and 5 beneath the surface of Titan." On the main display, footage showed the alien ship. It was massive, nearly 3 kilometers long, with strange geometric patterns etched into its hull. Smaller craft occasionally departed from bays along its sides. "They're scanning our planet," reported Admiral Park. "Our preliminary analysis suggests their technology is approximately 50 years ahead of our public capabilities." Minister Lee smiled thinly. "But our hidden capabilities? Perhaps only 20 years behind. The gap is smaller than they think." As the meeting continued, across the solar system, hidden bases began to stir. In a secret facility beneath the lunar surface, Chief Engineer Nam Dae-jung supervised the activation of quantum drives. The engines hummed to life, their blue-white glow illuminating the massive underground hangar. "Power levels stable," reported his assistant. "All systems nominal." Nam patted the hull of the closest warship. "You're going to get your chance to fly soon," he whispered. Back on Earth, people went about their daily lives, most unaware of the existential threat hovering above them. News agencies reported only that an extraterrestrial vessel had arrived and that diplomatic discussions were underway. No mention was made of ultimatums or threats. In her private quarters, Admiral Park reviewed the classified files on Protocol Omega. The plan had been developed in secret, funded by an international coalition afraid of exactly this scenario. While publicly, humanity had built space stations and modest defense platforms. Privately, they had poured resources into hidden military research and development. Her tablet displayed schematics for weapons systems that officially didn't exist: gravitational disruptors, quantum phase torpedoes, and shield technology reverse-engineered from fragments of alien technology found decades ago in the Arctic. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Admiral, we've detected additional ships entering the solar system," reported Captain Song Min-ho. "At least 5 more vessels of similar size to the first." "They're not waiting for our answer," Park mused. "They never intended to." The next morning, Admiral Park met with President Kwan, a stern woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. "Can we fight them?" President Kwan asked simply. "We can," Park replied. "But the cost will be high. Higher than losing our freedom, our humanity." Park shook her head. "No, Madam President. Nothing is worth that price." "Then you have my authorization. Begin Protocol Omega immediately." Within hours, hidden transmitters activated across the solar system. Dormant military personnel received their call-up codes. Engineers who had worked on secret projects for years now prepared to see their creations in action. On Mars colony, civilians watched with confusion as military transports descended, evacuating selected individuals. Similar scenes played out on lunar bases and the settlements on Europa and Ganymede. High above Earth, the alien ships maintained their position. Occasional probes were sent down, only to be carefully monitored but not interfered with. Earth appeared to be considering the ultimatum, perhaps even preparing for surrender. In reality, humanity was preparing for war. In a hidden asteroid base, Admiral Park addressed the first crew of the EDS Defiance, Earth's most advanced warship. "For generations, we looked to the stars with hope," she said. "We dreamed of peaceful contact with alien civilizations. Today, we face a different reality. The Galactic Dominion doesn't come in peace. They come to conquer." The crew stood at attention, their faces resolute. "But humanity will not surrender. We will not become slaves. We have prepared for this day, and now we must prove that our species deserves its freedom." As she spoke, across the solar system, 25 advanced warships powered up their engines. Weapon systems came online. Defense grids activated. "They expect us to be primitive," Park continued. "They expect us to be easy prey. In 1 week, we will show them how wrong they are." Captain Han Jinwoo, commander of the Defiance, stepped forward. "The ship is ready, Admiral. We await your orders." Admiral Park nodded. "Begin Operation First Strike. All ships to their designated positions. Maintain stealth protocols until the command is given." As the crews dispersed to their stations, Park looked out through a viewport at the distant speck of Earth. Somewhere up there, alien eyes watched, believing they faced a primitive species that would soon bow to their demands. They would learn, she thought. They would learn that humans didn't surrender easily. And when pushed, they built warships. Deep within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Captain Kang Du-woo supervised as massive hangar doors slid open, revealing sleek warships that had never seen battle. Similar scenes played out in hidden bases throughout the solar system, on Titan, Europa, and the far side of Luna. 20 years of preparation, murmured Chief Engineer Yoon Sun-mei as she walked the length of the prototype battleship Defiance. "Let's hope it's enough." In an orbital lab above Neptune, Dr. Choi Jun worked tirelessly with his team, finalizing the quantum displacement shields that might give humanity's ships a fighting chance. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Bai Han managed to infiltrate the Dominion's communications network. What he discovered both alarmed and emboldened Earth's leadership. The aliens considered humans primitive but unpredictable, a species with concerning adaptive capabilities. Captain Kang stood on the observation deck, watching as the maintenance crews performed their final checks on the Defiance. The ship gleamed under the harsh lights of the hidden asteroid base, its dark hull covered with stealth plating that absorbed rather than reflected light. This would be humanity's answer to the Dominion's ultimatum, not surrender, but resistance. "Captain, all systems are ready for the crew," reported Lieutenant Go Min-soo, standing at attention beside him. "Good. Begin boarding procedures," Kang ordered, his eyes still fixed on the warship. "We launch in 6 hours." Throughout the massive hidden shipyard, similar preparations were underway. 5 other warships, the Courage, the Resilience, the Intrepid, the Dauntless, and the Resolute, were being readied for their first real mission. Each represented a different approach to space combat, designed to give humanity tactical flexibility against an unknown enemy. Chief Engineer Yoon supervised the loading of the experimental weapon systems. The quantum torpedoes, barely out of the testing phase, were carefully moved into the Defiance's weapons bay. If these work as designed, they'll create temporary micro-singularities on impact, she explained to her assistant. The gravitational shear should tear through any known shielding technology. "And if they don't work?" the young technician asked. Yoon's expression remained neutral. "Then we adapt. That's what humans do best." In his quarters, Captain Kang reviewed the crew manifest one last time. These men and women had trained for years in secret facilities, preparing for a war most of humanity didn't know might come. Now they would be the first to face an enemy that had conquered countless worlds. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Admiral Park. "Admiral," Kang said, standing quickly. "I didn't expect you on base. I wanted to see the ships before they deploy," Park replied, walking to the viewport that overlooked the hangar, "and to deliver new intelligence personally." She handed him a datapad. On it was a detailed analysis of the Dominion ships, compiled by Intelligence Officer Ba. "Their main weapons are energy-based," Park explained, "but they rely heavily on shields rather than armor. If Choi's quantum shields work as designed, we might have an advantage there. And their numbers, more than we originally thought. At least 30 capital ships are now in the outer solar system, with more arriving daily." Kang's expression remained steady, but his grip on the datapad tightened. "They never intended to wait a month for our answer." "No," Park agreed. "I believe the ultimatum was merely a formality. They always planned to take Earth by force." Across the solar system, in his laboratory orbiting Neptune, Dr. Choi Jun worked without rest. His team had managed to create a functioning quantum displacement shield, a technology that could, in theory, shift incoming energy weapons slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, dissipating their impact. "Final calibration complete," announced his lead technician, Dr. No Mi-jin. "Shield efficiency at 87%. Choi rubbed his tired eyes. "It will have to do. Begin transmission of the shield specifications to all fleet vessels." The data would take hours to reach the various hidden bases, even using their quantum entanglement communications, another technology developed in secret over the past decades. Meanwhile, near Saturn's orbit, Intelligence Officer Bai drifted in a small stealth craft, his equipment silently collecting the Dominion fleet's communications. Through a combination of advanced algorithms and sheer persistence, he had managed to partially decode their language. What he learned was sobering. The Dominion had encountered thousands of intelligent species throughout the galaxy. Some had been incorporated peacefully into their empire, but many had been conquered through overwhelming force. Earth was just the latest in a long list of acquisitions. But there was something else in their communications, something that gave Ba hope. References to humans contained unusual markers, tags that translated roughly as caution and unpredictable. "They fear what they don't understand," Bai murmured to himself as he compiled his report. "And they don't understand us at all." Back at the asteroid base, final preparations were underway. The crew of the Defiance, 200 of Earth's most skilled space operators, boarded the vessel in orderly groups. Captain Kang stood at the main airlock, greeting each team as they arrived. "Navigator Park, welcome aboard. Weapons Officer Sim, your station is ready. Medical Chief Jiang, the infirmary is fully stocked." Each crew member carried the weight of humanity's future on their shoulders, yet their faces showed determination, not fear. In her private quarters aboard the base, Admiral Park received the final reports from all hidden facilities. Operation Iron Aegis was ready. 25 advanced warships, hundreds of fighter craft, and dozens of support vessels, all developed and built in secret, were prepared to challenge the Dominion's might. She opened a secure channel to all fleet commanders. "This is Admiral Park. In 48 hours, we will execute Operation First Strike. The Dominion believes we are preparing for surrender. Instead, we will deliver our answer with fire and resolve." As the final hours of preparation ticked away, Captain Kang stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching his crew at their stations. Soon, the hidden fleet would emerge from the shadows and face an enemy that had conquered stars. "Captain," said his first officer, "Commander, I am Se-young. All systems are green. The ship is ready." Kang nodded. "Then let's show the Dominion what humanity has been building while they thought we were just looking at the stars." As the deadline approached, Admiral Park gathered her captains for a final briefing. "They expect surrender," she said, tracing her finger along the tactical display. Instead, they'll get Operation Thunderbolt. When Dominion reinforcements arrived at the edge of the solar system, they found not a submissive planet ready for conquest, but a coordinated ambush. Earth's hidden fleet struck from multiple vectors, their ships moving with unexpected agility. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Kang watched as his gunners targeted the Dominion's lead vessels. Fire. The experimental weapons functioned beyond expectations. Energy beams sliced through Dominion shields, and the quantum torpedoes collapsed sections of alien hull into temporary singularities. By the battle's end, both sides had suffered losses, but humanity had achieved what the Dominion thought impossible: a stalemate. The Defiance shook violently as a Dominion energy beam glanced off its port side. Captain Kang gripped his command chair, keeping his balance as the ship's artificial gravity fluctuated. "Shields holding at 62%, reported Lieutenant Joe, her fingers dancing across the tactical console. "The quantum displacement is working." Kang nodded sharply. "Bring us around for another pass." Target their command vessel. Through the main view screen, he watched as the battle unfolded across the vast emptiness of space near Jupiter's orbit. Earth's ships darted between the much larger Dominion vessels, their smaller size giving them superior maneuverability. Flashes of energy lit up the darkness as weapons fire crisscrossed the void. "Sir, the Courage and Intrepid are engaging the Dominion's left flank," Commander Im reported. "The Resilience is drawing heavy fire." "Tell Captain Moon to hold position," Kang ordered. "We're moving to support." The Defiance banked sharply, its engines flaring bright blue as it accelerated toward the embattled Earth ship. 3 Dominion cruisers had surrounded the Resilience, pounding it with energy weapons that flickered and partially phased through its shields. "Weapons Officer Sim, prepare a full spread of quantum torpedoes," Kang commanded. "Target the lead cruiser's propulsion systems." "Torpedoes armed and ready, sir." "Fire." 5 glowing projectiles streaked from the Defiance toward the largest Dominion vessel. Upon impact, space itself seemed to warp around the alien ship. Parts of its hull simply vanished into tiny, short-lived black holes that winked out of existence seconds later, taking chunks of the cruiser with them. "Direct hit," shouted Sim, unable to contain his excitement. "Their engines are offline." The damaged Dominion cruiser drifted, listing to one side as emergency systems fought to contain the damage. Its 2 companions broke off their attack on the Resilience, turning to face this new threat. Across the solar system, similar scenes played out as humanity's hidden fleet engaged the invaders. Near Saturn, Captain Ryu's squadron of smaller attack craft swarmed a Dominion dreadnought, their coordinated movements confusing the alien targeting systems. In the asteroid belt, the Dauntless and Resolute executed a complex pincer movement, catching 2 Dominion ships in a deadly crossfire. And in high Earth orbit, Admiral Park directed the battle from her flagship, the Thunderbolt, while defensive platforms around the planet activated, revealing weapons systems the Dominion had not detected in their scans. "Admiral, the Dominion fleet is regrouping," reported her tactical officer. "They appear to be forming a defensive sphere." Park studied the holographic display. 28 Dominion vessels remained operational, though many showed signs of damage. Earth's fleet had lost 3 ships completely, with 7 more reporting significant damage. "They're surprised," she said quietly. "They expected an easy victory." On the Dominion command ship, High Commander Dole raged at his subordinates. "How is this possible? Their technology should be primitive. Their ships should be no match for ours." His second-in-command, a veteran of many conquest campaigns, responded carefully. "Intelligence suggests they have been building in secret, Commander. Their quantum technology is unexpected. No species has ever resisted us like this." Dole hissed. "Notify Central Command. We require additional forces." Back on the Defiance, Captain Kang received a priority transmission from Admiral Park. "Captain, the Dominion flagship is signaling. They're requesting a temporary ceasefire to recover their damaged vessels." Kang's eyes narrowed. A trick. Possibly, Park admitted. But it gives us time to regroup as well. Hold position but maintain combat readiness. As the firing temporarily ceased, the crew of the Defiance took stock of their situation. 3 crew members dead, 12 injured. Minor structural damage to the lower decks, and shield generators running hot from constant use. Not bad for our first real battle, Commander Im commented, reviewing the damage reports. This was just the opening round, Kang replied. They'll be back with more ships, now that they know what we're capable of. In the medical bay, Dr. Kim worked frantically to save a young engineer who had been caught in an electrical surge when a power conduit overloaded. The ship's chief engineer, Lieutenant Nam, waited anxiously outside. Will she make it? Nam asked when Dr. Kim finally emerged. Yes, but she won't be returning to duty this battle. The doctor wiped blood from his hands. How are the engines holding up? Better than expected. The quantum drive is stable, and our power output is steady. We can keep fighting. Throughout the ship, similar conversations took place as crew members checked on friends, repaired systems, and prepared for the battle to resume. On the bridge, Captain Kang received a new transmission from Admiral Park. The ceasefire will end in 20 minutes. All ships prepare for the second phase of Operation Thunderbolt. The Dominion now knows we can fight. It's time to show them we can win. As the Defiance moved into its new position, Kang addressed his crew over the internal communication system. What followed astonished even the human crews. The 5 ships moved in perfect coordination, as if they were extensions of a single mind. They weaved between the much larger Dominion vessels, firing precisely at weak points that the AI had identified. The Dominion ships tried to respond, but they couldn't keep up with the seemingly prescient movements of the human vessels. The AICs anticipated their tactics, adjusting the battle strategy 50 times per second. Sir, the main Dominion ship is targeting the subsurface colony, warned his sensor officer. Song didn't hesitate. All ships, defensive formation Delta, protect the colony at all costs. His 5 ships instantly shifted position, creating an overlapping shield pattern above the colony. The Dominion's main battle cruiser fired a massive energy weapon, far more powerful than anything seen before. The beam struck the overlapping shields of Song's ships. The AICS redistributed the energy load across all 5 vessels, preventing any single shield from collapsing. Shields holding at 30%, reported his engineer. But we can't take another hit like that. We won't have to, Song replied. AICS, calculate firing solution for a synchronized quantum torpedo strike. A moment later, all 5 ships fired simultaneously. 20 quantum torpedoes streaked toward the Dominion battle cruiser, striking it from multiple angles. Space warped around the massive ship as micro-singularities tore through its hull. The alien vessel broke apart, secondary explosions rippling along its length as its power core destabilized. The remaining Dominion ships immediately began to retreat. When Admiral Park received Commander Song's report, she immediately called a meeting of all fleet captains. The holographic conference brought together the leaders of humanity's defense from across the solar system. What Commander Song has demonstrated at Europa proves our new systems work, she told them, her image flickering slightly due to the vast distances involved. The AI combat system will be transmitted to all ships immediately. Captain Kang of the Defiance spoke up. The Dominion is adapting to our quantum weapons. Their newer ships have modified shields. That's expected, Admiral Park replied. But now they know we're not the easy conquest they anticipated. Intelligence Officer Ba's image appeared in the conference. Admiral, I've intercepted new Dominion communications. Their main battle fleet has entered the solar system. These are not the colonial forces we've faced so far. He displayed images of the incoming ships. They were massive, dwarfing even the largest vessels humanity had encountered yet. The lead ship was nearly 15 kilometers long, bristling with weapon emplacements. This is their real military, Ba continued. What we fought so far was just their vanguard. The captains fell silent as they absorbed this information. Finally, Admiral Park spoke. "We knew this would come. The Dominion doesn't tolerate resistance, but we've prepared for this moment for decades." She looked at each captain in turn. "Deploy all remaining hidden assets. Activate the orbital defense grids around every colony. And prepare the NOVA protocol." Several captains exchanged worried glances. NOVA was the last resort option, a weapon so powerful that its very existence had been classified at the highest level. "Admiral," Captain Kang said carefully, "is NOVA ready?" "It is," Park confirmed. "Let us hope we don't need to use it." As the conference ended, Admiral Park stood alone on the bridge of her flagship. Outside the viewport, Earth shone blue and peaceful against the blackness of space. "We're not just fighting for our lives," she whispered to herself. "We're fighting for our right to exist on our own terms." The Dominion command ship eclipsed the sun as it positioned itself in Earth's orbit, a clear message of intimidation. Admiral Park recognized it for what it was, both a threat and an opportunity. "All ships, this is Admiral Park. Execute Operation Checkmate." Earth's remaining fleet coordinated their attack on the massive command vessel, while defense platforms across the system engaged the supporting Dominion ships. Captain Kang led the most daring element, a boarding party that would infiltrate the command ship itself. "Remember your training," he told his soldiers as their assault craft approached the alien vessel. "They may have the technology, but we have the resolve." After hours of intense fighting, both in space and within the labyrinthine corridors of the command ship, Captain Kang's team secured the bridge. The Dominion Fleet Admiral, a towering figure with ceremonial scars across his exoskeleton, regarded the humans with newfound respect. "Your species was expected to beg for mercy," he said. "Instead, you fought with honor." 3 days later, Admiral Park represented humanity in the first equal negotiations with the Galactic Dominion. The terms were clear. Earth would remain sovereign, and humanity would join the greater galactic community not as subjects, but as equals. As she signed the accord, Park thought of the lives lost and the battles fought. "We came to the stars ready to explore," she told the Dominion representatives. "But when threatened, we proved equally prepared to defend what's ours." The shadow of the massive Dominion command ship crept across Earth's surface like a slow eclipse. From her position on the Thunderbolt, Admiral Park watched the alien vessel take up its position. Directly over the North Atlantic, visible to billions of humans below. "A show of force," she said quietly to her officers. "They want everyone to see their power." Intelligence Officer Ba nodded. Their final attempt at intimidation before they begin planetary bombardment. Around Earth, humanity's remaining defenses gathered. 14 warships, all showing battle damage from the weeks of fighting. Space stations converted to weapons platforms. And ground-based energy cannons pointing skyward from every continent. Park took a deep breath and opened the fleet-wide communication channel. "All ships and defense stations, this is Admiral Park. The time has come for Operation Checkmate." The plan was risky, perhaps even desperate, but humanity had always thrived when facing impossible odds. "Captain Kang, is your team ready?" she asked over a private channel. On the Defiance, Kang looked at the 40 soldiers assembled in the launch bay. They wore the newly developed phase shift armor, technology that would allow them to pass through certain energy barriers. Each carried weapons designed specifically to work inside the alien vessel. "We're ready, Admiral," he replied. "Assault team is prepared for boarding." Park's voice was steady. "Then begin your approach. All other ships will commence their attack runs when you signal." As the Defiance moved toward the enormous Dominion command ship, the rest of Earth's fleet took up strategic positions. Each had a specific role to play in the coming battle. In the assault shuttle, Captain Kang addressed his team one final time. "We've studied their ship design. We know their patrol patterns, and we have technology they don't expect us to possess." He looked at each soldier in turn. "But our greatest advantage is that they don't understand humans. They don't understand what we're willing to sacrifice for our freedom. The shuttle approached the Dominion vessel's ventral section, where the energy shields were thinnest. As they neared, Engineer Yoon activated the phase shift generator. The shuttle vibrated violently as it began to shift partially out of normal space. Phase shift holding, Yoon reported. We'll be able to pass through their outer shields. The shuttle slipped through the energy barrier that would have vaporized any conventional craft. They were inside the Dominion ship's defensive perimeter. Send the signal, Kang ordered. Throughout the solar system, Earth's forces received the simple transmission. Sword is drawn. Admiral Park didn't hesitate. All ships, commence attack. The human fleet opened fire simultaneously, targeting specific points on the Dominion command ship, not to destroy it. That would be impossible with their remaining firepower, but to draw attention away from Kang's team and disable key systems. The massive alien vessel responded, energy weapons firing at Earth's smaller ships. But the humans had learned from weeks of battle. They moved in unpredictable patterns, using the AICs to coordinate their evasive maneuvers. Inside the Dominion ship, Kang's team faced their own challenges. They encountered alien security forces almost immediately after docking. Forward, Kang shouted as energy blasts struck the wall beside him. His soldiers advanced, using the narrow corridors to their advantage. The Dominion troops were larger, making them easier targets in the confined spaces. Slowly, fighting room by room, the humans pushed toward the command center. Their armor absorbed hits that would have been fatal otherwise, though not without cost. 8 soldiers fell in the first 20 minutes. We're approaching the central lift system, Lieutenant Go reported, checking the holographic map projected from his wrist device. Good, Kang replied. Once we control that, we have a direct route to the bridge. Outside, the space battle intensified. The Courage took a direct hit to its drive section, sending it spinning away from the formation. The Resilience moved to cover the damaged ship, its shields flaring as it absorbed enemy fire. On the Thunderbolt, Admiral Park received constant updates. Captain Kang's team has reached the central lift system, her communications officer reported. They're proceeding to the command deck. Park nodded. Tell all ships to intensify their attacks on sections 12 through 18. Give Kang's team as much distraction as possible. After nearly an hour of fierce fighting, Kang's force, now reduced to 27, reached the massive doors of the command center. Breaching charges, Kang ordered. His soldiers placed the devices at key points on the doors. Ready, reported Sergeant Hio. Detonating in 3, 2, 1. The explosion tore through the doors, and the humans charged through the smoke. The alien bridge crew was waiting, weapons ready. What followed was 5 minutes of chaos. Energy weapons fired, barriers overturned for cover, hand-to-hand combat when necessary. 3 more humans fell, but the Dominion crew suffered worse. Finally, Kang stood before the Dominion fleet admiral, a towering figure with an exoskeleton covered in ceremonial battle scars. The alien's 6 eyes narrowed as it regarded the human captain. Your species was expected to beg for mercy, the admiral said in a voice that sounded like grinding stones. Instead, you fought with honor. Kang kept his weapon trained on the alien. We don't surrender to bullies, no matter how big they are. The Dominion admiral made a gesture, and the remaining alien crew lowered their weapons. Perhaps we have misjudged your kind. 3 days later, in a room aboard the neutral space station that orbited Jupiter's moon Ganymede, Admiral Park sat across from the Dominion representatives. The negotiation table was circular, a human insistence that symbolized equality rather than hierarchy. The terms are simple, Park said firmly. Earth and its colonies remain sovereign. Humanity will join the galactic community, but as equals, not subjects. The Dominion envoy, still clearly uncomfortable with the outcome, nodded slowly. The High Council has agreed to these terms, with conditions. You will share your quantum technology, and we will share our faster-than-light travel systems. A fair exchange, Park agreed. As she signed the accord that would forever change humanity's place in the universe, Park thought of every person who had fought and died to bring them to this moment. From the secret shipyards to the final battles, humans had proven themselves worthy of the stars. "We came to the stars ready to explore," she told the Dominion representatives as they concluded the historic agreement. "But when threatened, we proved equally prepared to defend what's ours." In the years that followed, humanity expanded beyond the solar system, taking its place among the countless civilizations of the galaxy. And wherever they went, other species remembered how Earth had answered when the Dominion demanded surrender. Not with white flags, but with warships. The end.